I'm a collector of all things, and most importantly, I'm a free electron, whether it's here or in the society. It's just the way my mind is set, so it's gonna be easier for me to make this video and do those ramblings and this soliloquy. Actually, what a nice word. I'll always love this word. You know, the soliloquy is the way to think only with yourself as opposed to a dialogue, a conversation actually with somebody. But you're free, and hopefully I'll get a lot of comments. You're free to make your comments in the section down below, because above all, I like to express my thoughts and to have some counters or other ideas from you guys. So yes, I'm a collector and I'm also a free electron. I am a man who always and is lucky enough to never had really in his life to make any kind of compromise that I didn't want. You know, I make a very serious job, but I could have been in another situation way better if I adapted and if I made the necessary compromises that I didn't want to. So that's why I'm really happy, because actually I never had to do that. So again, to me, making this video is kind of easy. Where am I heading to? We in the society have to live with others, which is the plague sometimes. The society, since it was created, had always the same, configuration. You have some leaders, you have some people in between, you have followers, whatever. And it's always like that, whether it's on the macro society, the society we live in, or in the places we work, or also curiously also in the groups that we eventually create in the social media. When you have a hobby like knife or bikes or watches, we tend to create those groups. Are we, happier with those groups or whatever? I don't know. I think it's just a tendency. When you're a leader in the society, you will want to be a leader and create a group and have some influence wherever you will be, because that's your mindset. And such is for the followers, of course. But those are the ones that I am addressing, because the leaders, we can change what they are. But the followers that have some frustration in the real life, with the government, with their society, their bosses, whatever, they want to have some fun and have some hobbies, and don't have to leave, those frustration in those hobbies. And unfortunately, you will have to, because that's just the way it is, but you can decide, to don't bother. That's my main point, and this is where I'm heading. You can decide to don't bother, because that's a hobby, actually. It's not a necessity. I have started to collect those knives, and you cannot believe how happy I was when I had those knives. Because actually before the social media, I couldn't get to have the people that I know today, and those were the knives that I had, those French, very traditional knife. You cannot imagine. For years I only collected those kind of knives, and you cannot imagine how happy I was with those knives. And I want to keep that happiness, because it's possible. And from that to that, it all came really fast, like the 3 or 4 years that just preceded. And I would argue, because I live in France, that it was mainly because of the social media. So that was definitely a pro. But on the social media, you have also the cons. And of course, the cons, I don't know why I say of course, the cons are the groups and because there's a big community, but in this community you will have some groups, and you will have some issues that you will have with any kind of group. We have a famous singer in France who is dead now, who said basically that, up to a certain point, to 2 people gathering around, 2 or 3 people, we're good. Then after that, we become a band, and a band of jerks most of the time. This is how it happened, and I've known that, and I've experienced that for the better part of my life. The last one was a kind of people that gathered they were like bike owners, Harley enthusiasts, and they were like, despising those groups of Harley, whether it's the Hogs, the Harley owner groups, or those bands. They were despising that, so they wanted to make a forum. They called that the Passion Harley, whatever it is. It's a French forum, and next thing you know, I mean, 1 year after, or a couple of years after, they had their own logo, they made their own events, and they became exactly the same as other groups. This is exactly what will happen, So yes, you will find groups, you will find some group of interest, you will have some, what we see in this community, the fanboys, whatever, any time of the freaking day, I could ask my friend Dalibor to have a knife per week. I mean, if I wanted, that's a thing that I could get out of his friendship. But this is something that I would never do, as I would never sell a knife from his, because this is not the way my mind is set. My mind is set as a collector. I like to have a knife from him and cherish it and keep it, and I don't care about the investment. This is no investment. I mean, we pay for our pleasure. We pay when we go to holidays, to vacation, and we are not expecting to have the money back from that pleasure. We pay for our cars; they lose their values most of the time, and it's just the way it is. So when I want to have a knife like that, I enjoy it, I keep it. It's not to make a profit out of it. I mean, it's just not my mindset, because I'm a collector. And there are a lot of you out there who are like that, who wants to collect, and you have an issue because, first of all, you cannot get those knives because they're really hard to get. Then they became more and more expensive. Like a knife like that, we are talking over 10K, which is absolutely insane. So whether it's on the possibility to buy because the funds are not there, or you just cannot, because even if you have the funds to find that knife, it's almost impossible. So that can create a frustration, and actually created a lot of frustration. My point is, fuck that. Sorry about that. Fuck frustration. You don't have to, my friends. You have to. I mean, you don't have to do anything, but you can be happy with what you have. As I told you, I had the means and even the purposes actually to buy more knives before. I just, when I say means, I mean, I had the funds, but I couldn't because I was in France, and there, before the social media, you cannot imagine how distant we were, the world was, whether for the makers that are in, I don't know where, in like the center of the United States, in some countries like that, on the countryside. I mean, they didn't have any way to express themselves and to make themselves known. As for a collector as me, it was difficult, to create a contact with those guys. So the social media really improved dramatically my collection, and improved the business of those guys also. But when I had this knife, or this one, I was really happy with that. Why? Because this is the way I am. I know that people will have more than me, but I also know that people will have less. Am I craving to have more? Man, this is the desire. We have to get a desire. This is important, but the desire is something positive, something that will make you, try to get something and to achieve something in your life. This is something positive. Now, when it comes to the envy or lust, this becomes negative, and this is something that you want to keep away from you. I mean, again, it's an open discussion, but this is really the way I think. So of course, I am able now to get knives like that, but there are others that I cannot. I mean, I'd love to have knives from, say, Jeremy Marsh, or other knives from Barker, or whatever. I don't know, some knives that I cannot get for now. I want to, but that creates the desire. That creates the chase. And if I don't, I'm not going to be frustrated about that. It's okay. Why? Because I have other things, and if you don't have the custom, you can have maybe the mid-text. And if you don't have the mid-text, maybe you can have the production. And if you don't have the production, maybe you can be happy with something else, a simple pleasure like watching the leaves falling during fall or whatever. As long as your mindset is positive, you can be happy with whatever you have. So don't be upset by this community or those people who call you brother, and then after that, they will, shot in your back or whatever. That happened to me also. This is why I say that. Some people that were really close, they changed because they had some I don't know, some agenda or whatever. Who cares? To me, I always consider that human beings are good until they prove me wrong, which is exactly the opposite that most of the people think, actually, because most of the people tend to take their time to analyze, the man they have in front of them, and let him do his proofs, until they give their trust. I do exactly the opposite. I consider that people are, as I said, good until they prove me wrong, and most of the time they prove me wrong really fast. So that to me avoids the frustration. Just like any other idea I have, I consider that the idea is right until I prove it wrong, and I do whatever it takes as a scientist to prove that either it's right or it's wrong. But you have no frustration after that. If your mindset is like that, you just do the necessary research, improvement, thinking, and if it's okay, it's okay. If it's not, you just put it aside, and that's it. So I don't know if this video makes any kind of sense. It's more, I don't know if I'm going to post it in the knife section or in the psychology or philosophy section about life. I don't know. But I wanted to do it with knives because this is the community I feel the more, the more at ease, I don't know how, the more comfortable, I would say. Others, I left. I don't know, really because of those reasons, and I didn't want to have any kind of frustration. I rather left than, staying with in those community and still, keeping collecting watches or bikes, but not in community. Knife community, I stay in it. Why? Because they are like maybe more than I can share, more than my share of great people that were here when I started to make videos, like the first 2 or 3. You know who you are, Stephen, Patty, Phil. You know who you are, and then after that, all the great guys that I know. I'm not gonna name them all, but I feel so good in that community that I'm good with those guys, and I will keep it on. That's why I wanted to make this video, because you can. You can do, maybe you cannot afford that, or you can get that. Maybe you cannot, I don't know, afford that even. But you can enjoy it. You can appreciate it. You can appreciate it for the knife, the tool, the art, item, or the people you have in them. And you are not obliged to accept the one that you don't like. So out the frustration, enjoy the hobby, enjoy the great people in the community, and let's make another video soon that will, I'm sorry about you, Thierry. I wanted to make a video about this new knife, but my mind went elsewhere. But this is maybe what people like about me. I'm unpredictable, and I do things as as my my mind lead me. I will probably make another video or some videos on the Instagram to show this beautiful Maximus that I just received from my buddy Thierry Savidal. And with that being said, my friend, it was a pleasure and a nice brain pleasure, I would say, and I will leave it at that, and I'll catch you very soon for another video. Bye bye.